Today I'll be sharing with you about upselling. Usually in a hotel, upselling is very important for front office reception, because upselling means that the hotel and the reception tries to upgrade a room for a small fee from the room which the guest has booked to the next category. So let's find out the tips for effectively upselling guest rooms at front office. So when we upsell a room, we have to make sure that guest has booked the standard category room. Sometimes if the guest has booked the highest category, we cannot sell the next category. So when upselling to hotel guests while they arrive at the hotel to check in, often holds the best opportunity to create more revenue for the hotel. So usually from the reservation, when the guest books the room, he can book the cheapest room, maybe the cheapest and the room which and the standard room which hotel has. So at the time of check-in, the reception has to ensure that to sell the best room, maybe the next category for the guest, so that can bring a revenue for the person who's selling and also revenue for the hotel. A good incentive program for reservations and front office team often by the hotel management helps to successfully motivate staff in upselling guest rooms. So usually the front office manager will ensure that make a plan and try to rate different employees for upselling, and they will put it in the notice board, and employees can have a look who is first number 3, like top 3 upsellers, so that can motivate even how much upsell for a month, so everyone can see, so that will motivate everyone to go for upsell. Always greet each guest while with a smile in your voice as well as your face. Basically, when you smile with a guest, it makes other guests happy, because if you are talking with a person in yourself, if you smile and talk, it makes happy, like other person likes to see you happy. That's the important part. Always establish and maintain eye contact with the guest. If you don't have the eye contact with the guest, you will be fall into trouble, because guest requires attention. So it's better to have good attention for the guest. Ask open-ended questions to understand the guest's needs and requirements, and make timely suggestions and offering alternative with an upsell. Usually there are certain things you should ask when you are upselling, and you have to stick with those things. Like for example, if the guest is more open to talk with you, then you can just suggest, you can explain hotel facilities, hot rooms, we have these kind of rooms, and we have a nice room apart from what you have booked. Would you like to have go for that room? You can just ask the guest in an open manner. Understand the guest profile from the reservation details and identify those guests who are most likely to take a higher category room. When you before you go for a guest, you have to ensure you check each and guest profile, because that will make you to be aware and confident. You have to first do a study about the guest, what kind of guest he is. Is a high pay guest, he's a VIP guest. You have to ensure check everything before you go for upsell. Booking generated via corporates or negotiated rates or by in-house sales team are not likely to take a high category room, and as their bills are normally paid by their company. Always establish and maintain eye contact with the guest. We have to be very careful when exposing rates for these types of guests who have negotiated with corporates, travel agents, and in-house sales. They have negotiated a rate for them. That's why we have to check their profile first before upsell. We are not allowed to expose the rates because there is a fixed rate for them. They have come to an agreement, they have come to a contract, so we are not allowed to expose anything. So that will be a bigger problem for the hotels. So you have to always check the guest profile before you do a upsell. Guests who are in honeymoon, family leisure trip, long stay, online travel agents, that means booking.com, Agoda, direct booking, walk-ins are most likely for the upsell. This because the most cases guests who comes to stay in the hotel is not aware of different room offerings. Usually when it comes to a hotel, long stay is the most important thing in the hotel. So you have to ensure that check you have to check them, and you have to try to sell it. Be pleasant and business like as you are selling yourself as much as you are selling the hotel facilities and service. You have to be always pleasant, and you have to know the hotel facilities. You have to know the product knowledge before you sell something. If you are aware about the hotel product knowledge, then you are very confident to sell it. Find out the guest name immediately, as use at least 3 times during the conversation. Usually when you talk with a guest, you can't always use sir. You have to call him with his name, but not with the first name. I will come up on with the next point. So always use the appropriate titles like Mr. Miss when addressing the guest. Never call the guest in the first name. Always use the surname. So when I am calling you, I have to call. If your first name is Alex Smith, I cannot call you hey Alex, because that's not professional. You have to call him Mr. Smith. That's just like that. You have to ensure you call with their titles. If it's Mr., you have to call Mr. If it's a doctor, you have to call doctor. That will give you a good impression about that. You are always aware about their profile. Attempt to identify the need of the guest, since their needs may not have been identified during the reservation process. Sometimes with the reservation and with the guest, sometimes there can be some miscommunication. Sometimes I have come across so many things like that. So when the guest comes to the hotel, you have to always check with the guest if he have confirmed these things. If for example, I guess will ask for a birthday cake, but in the reservation it has not mentioned, and when you come to the guest, you will see the guest is celebrating his birthday today. So we have to always check with the reservation if the guest has confirmed, and if it's confirmed, you have to check with the guest, then only we have to do the arrangement. So miscommunication do happen a lot in the front office. Match the guest needs to the rooms furnishing amenities or view, sea view, pool view, mountain view, because some guests requires calm room, some guests requires like to go a lot of entertainment, some require like a beautiful sea view, some guests require closer to the elevator, some guests require a noisy room, some guests require a quiet room. So every guest has different needs, so you have to always check what kind of guest. If the guest is coming with children, you have to keep them away from the other guests who is required a quieter room. So you have to be very aware about everything, so it will cause a big trouble. If the guest stays for many nights, then he would be interested in larger spacious room. So if the guest is staying like for 2 to 3 weeks, especially in resort hotels, you can just ensure the guest has the best room, because he will stay for a long time, and if he's happy, he will extend his stay for another week or maybe another 2 3 weeks. So you have to always know the guest very well before you are doing the upselling. If the guest is in a honeymoon, then offer them with the room with a view like a sea facing, pool facing mountain. In mostly resorts, first time guests, they are honeymoon, just married, and they want the best room. So you have to ensure, check everything before you give the room, because first impression from the reception as well, the first impression for the room also is very important. Sometimes you might give the best first impression at the reception, but when you go to the room, it can be a disaster. I have come across this so many times. Sometimes the rooms are not well cleaned, and it's not the expected room they have when they open the curtain, because they consider the view very well. So if that view is not available, then everything satisfaction is gone. So it's not all about the reception first impression, it has to be with the room as well. So you have to always check everything. If the guest has the reservation on a lower category, then mention the main difference and extra features he gets when compared with the higher category. So when you are explaining the upselling, you have to explain what makes different from the room which you have booked. We can identify certain things. It can be the room size, or it can be the view of the room, or it can be the amenities, or it can be the bed size. Sometimes some hotels have larger beds, small beds sizes, and it can be the location of the room. It can be a higher rooms, higher category is on the top floor, low category is on the bottom. So something like that you have to compare. When you compare it, only guests will know it. Inform about the additional charge or different in tariff with the encouraging a statement like a different X amount. So this is very important. When you are explaining the room facilities, you have to explain at the end. You have to tell these are the different prices. Like for a day, you have to explain this amount for a day will be charged for your stay. And you have to ask them, would you like to charge me daily, or would you like to pay the entire stay? So you have to ask the guest, so that amount should be charged, and you have to clearly tell the guest this is the price. Upsell rooms by pointing out its features and benefits first, then mention the different price. Don't tell the price first and tell the room facility. Just first tell the room facilities, because first you have to show the room. If you have the opportunity to show the room, just show the room, and also explain if you have pictures in your computer, just show them this is the room features you have and everything. Sometimes it's not the exact picture, it's there in the room, but sometimes if not, then you can go to if you have time, you can go to the room and just show the room. So guests will see the difference. You can show the difference what he have booked and what he will get. After that, you negotiate with the price. Then only you can easily sell the room, upsell the room. If there are two different room type available, then mention the benefit of both rooms, so that the guest can choose the best which fits his requirement. So same point, that's previous in a different way. You have to tell what are the benefits you will get. Sometimes some rooms you will get a wine bottle, some day liver, and sometimes you get chocolates, sometimes you get some discounts for the restaurant, spa, and other room you won't get any certain benefits. So you have to tell those stuff, you have to know everything. So for walking, always provide details in lower category, higher category. Avoid losing revenue while trying. Most hotels, they don't like to take walk-ins, but some hotels they want a walk-in guest, because some hot rooms are fully booked, pre-booked. Walk-in guest is the best way, because sometimes some walk-in guests are high pay guests. So we have to always get their details, and have to know first. We have to talk them and get to know about the guests, what kind of guest is there, if they are family or they are single or honeymoon. So we have to check all his profile, then later then we can show the room. After that, then show the two types of room, then negotiate with the price. After that you can sell the room. Always thank the guest after successful upsell. This is what everyone forgets, because guest is the one who pays you. So just because you sold the room doesn't mean that you should not be happy about yourself. You have to be happy about the guest as well. So because he paid you to bring a more revenue, so that's why you have to always thank the guest before for everything, whatever he have come across, whatever he have paid, and why you have to thank everything, why he has selected the hotel and everything. Okay, so I hope you learned something from these tips for effective upselling guest rooms at front office. I had some my experience where I work in the front office. So these are the basic knowledge for anyone who wanted to work in the reception and try to gain knowledge about what is this upselling, how can you do it, because mostly the front office reception are not going for upselling because they think this is just a risk. Actually, if you don't take risk, then you won't learn. If you take the risk, and you may make mistakes, and you have to keep on going taking risk. So every time you do take the risk and you have to keep on going, then it will be like part of your job responsibility. Then it will be a habit. So you will have targets like upselling 1 for a day, then you will gradually increase 2 for a day, then for a week you will plan 7 upselling, for a month you will plan, then it will be like a habit. Then you will upsell all the rooms if you have that confidence. So keep in mind that you are the boss in the front office, so you can just plan your day, and you can keep at some targets and you can go for it. So thank you so much for having with me. I hope you learned something, and next video I will share my next experience at the front office. Thank you.